Hi, my name is Faye, and I'm going to be discussing control theory. Control theory is different from the other theories that have been discussed in Chapter 2 because instead of approaching head-on, the control theory approaches deviance in kind of a circular approach. They believe that deviance is the absence of what causes conformity, and that was from Thayer, Taylor, and Schwartz. Control theory states that this is not all about social influences. It is based off the idea of fraud that deviance is a natural part of who we are, and control theory takes the approach that the social control is making people conform to a non-deviant life. Hirschi, Gottfredson, and Tittel in 1969 came up with the social bond, self-control, and control balance idea, that we can all be deviant. They explain that we bond more with the society so we do not act on the deviance that we have inside ourselves. But if someone does not have a strong social bond, they will be more likely to commit these deviant acts. There's 4 different bonds that they use to explain this. Attachment, which is to people and institutions, like having good friends, appreciating and respecting family, and you just have an attachment to school and work and things like that. Where the next one is commitment, that people spend their time elsewhere by devoting themselves to the career and schools and different skills that they have. Third is involvement. This attachment is for activities that would keep themselves busy and social and away from the deviant activities. Belief is the next one, and that's the moral values that we have as a person to keep them away from deviant activities. Hirschi and Gottfredson believe that lack of self-control will eventually lead people to act deviantly, where on the other hand, Tittel believed that lack of control balance is what caused deviance. Braithwaite used his idea of reintegrative shaming in 1989 and again in 2000. He believes that we are controlled through society's constant shaming, and he explains that there are 2 types of shaming, disintegrative and reintegrative. Disintegrative, this type of disapproval forces you out of the community and it kind of shuns you away. Where reintegrative, it makes the people that commit deviant acts feel guilty, but showing them that they understand and that they're welcome back into the community as long as they understand what they did wrong and learn from it. And this is the more common type. And it is the type that Braithwaite says is the beneficial type. The deterrence doctrine was the next part that was discussed. And this is a more formal way of showing the control theory with the law enforcement. And it explains that if the benefits outweigh the cost, then the individual is more likely to commit a deviant act. But if the cost, like going to prison or being on probation or something like that, outweighs the benefits, then they're not going to commit the crime. And harsher punishments seem to deter people from committing acts. This theory explains 3 ways in which this is done. If the punishment severity is higher, the person will be less likely to commit a deviant act. And secondly, if the person believes that they are for sure going to be getting punished, then they will be less likely to commit the crime. So if they know that they're going to get caught if they do this act, then they're not going to commit the act. Thirdly, if the punishment is acted quickly and there's no waiting period, they're less likely to commit the crime. So if you were to rob a bank and a month later you were to get caught, well, there was a bunch of time that passed. Where if you were to rob a bank and that evening you were caught, then the punishment was acted quickly. There are said to be no there are general and specific deterrents, where general is for anyone, and anyone like me, the person around, anyone who's there that learns about this, then they're going to be deterred. Where specific is just to the criminal and making them not recommit. So throughout these 3 different views, the Hirschi social bond has been shown support through many research studies, and they've evaluated juvenile delinquents, drug users, and drunk drivers, and they have all been shown to have a weaker social bond or self-control than people who haven't committed deviant crimes. And different cultures also show this, where Japanese has a collectivist culture and have higher social bonds, their level of deviance are a lot lower compared to the American culture. Where Braithwaite's reintegrative approach has been shown only to work with first-time offenders, and more communitarian places like Russia, this approach is also less likely to have a good effect on them because they have different beliefs about the crimes, and where, like, first-time offenders, they feel guilty about it. Second-time offenders don't tend to feel as guilty. The deterrence doctrine also is one that has opposing research. More severe punishments can reduce crime for the time. For family abuse, more than a period of leave, but research states that people are more likely to reoffend after leaving prison. These theorists also fail to show the different sides of control, where they show that control stops from deviant acts, it could also be causing it. So there's lots of research that still needs to be done.